Hello, and welcome to another edition of Illumination. I'm so glad that you could join us as God continues to raise an army of people out of darkness into his marvelous light. God is still on the throne, and he is still in control. And we are so happy to be part of the people, the children who he has called to now share the gospel message of the goodness of God to the world. Many people still believe that the world is out of control and that God is not watching. But God is fully aware of everything that is going on, and he still will have the final word, as his will shall be done. And what we are doing here at Illumination, we continue to highlight the works of people who are doing marvelous things and allowing their light to shine by the works that they do. And tonight we have a very special guest who's going to share some of the things she's doing as she's continuing to work with foster care children. And that's going to be Miss Kebra Redrick.
Hi, thank you.
So hello, Kebra.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So glad you could be here with us tonight. I would like to just start the conversation by having you talk about some of the things that the Heart Gallery is doing.
Well, the Heart Gallery, we focus on helping children in the New York City foster care system who are often considered hard to place. So we're talking about older children, sibling groups, special needs children, and LGBTQ identifying children, and bringing about the awareness that they are in foster care and introducing them to people through the art of photography. So we have world-renowned photographers who are all award-winning photographers who help introduce these children to you and bring about their personalities through the photography. And we make a huge gallery, and it's a roving gallery. It's been almost 10 years now since our first gallery.
So this roving gallery, 10 years in making, or in the process. So you're taking pictures of all of the children or foster care, who are they called? Recipients?
Oh, we call them children in foster care.
Who are in need. And you're showing them around to try to attract attention to have people adopt them? Or
well, ideally adoption. We also look for mentors, foster parents. We're trying to match them with people who will bring a positive change in their life. So we go to places where we think we would find those types of families. We're in Penn Station, we go to malls, we go, museums, wherever we can to help people see that there are a lot of children there that they may connect with that they didn't even know existed.
Okay. How did you become interested in this service?
Well, this is years ago. Like I said, I've been working there for 10 years. There was a segment on Oprah Winfrey Show, and I just so happened to be watching the show. And there are Heart Galleries around the nation. So she was highlighting Heart Gallery in Florida. We're Heart Gallery NYC. And there was a family on there who went to a match party. That's what we call them, where we bring the kids and prospective parents to meet each other. And they said that they focused on a picture and it just really tore their heart. And the girl wasn't at the party, but the photo is what really drew them to her. And they ended up adopting her. And so right away, I went online to look for a Heart Gallery in New York. And as I was scrolling through the pictures, we have pictures of the children and their bios, and they all have a statement where they introduce themselves to the world. They say what they like, what they're looking for. And there was one little boy who said all he wanted was a family that got together on Christmas Day and played Monopoly. And that's all he wanted. And I just bawled. I was crying for days. And I said, I have to do something. And I called right away. And the director, Lori Sherman Graff, she's amazing. She said, come on down. You can volunteer. And I've been doing it ever since.
Okay. That's interesting. So we're having people who are not necessarily thinking about becoming foster parents, but sometimes the emotional draw just from the pictures itself.
Right, that's our goal, is that people can make a connection through photographs. And the art of photography really brings this person to you where you may not have met them and you may not have read their bio, you didn't even know they existed. And when you see this child's picture, you really feel a connection and see who they are.
Just tell me a little bit about the photographers then that are doing this. You said
the photographers are all, your high-end photographers who are photographing, typically your elite Hollywood people for their photos, and they're donating all of their time and their talents to this project. And so we also like to highlight them because they're really making the gallery, and that's what makes us successful.
But as you're talking, it's interesting because I'm thinking these foster care kids are modeling kind of. Has any of them ever thought about modeling as a career?
Hope a lot of them do. I see some of their pictures and I am stunned, and I say, why isn't he modeling, or why isn't she modeling? And that's really what these photographers bring out something in them. And there's truly an art to photography that you don't really grasp until you see these pictures and you say, wow, they are bringing this child to like a really amazing height with the pictures. And the kids love it. When they see their pictures, they feel famous. They're on huge posters and they come to the parties and they want to take pictures with their picture and have everybody say, yes, they stand in front of them. It really makes them feel good because they do get a professional photo session. They get, makeup, hair, and the clothes, and so they love just the act of getting their picture taken. Okay. Even beyond where we're taking the picture.
Yeah. Do the kids and the families, are they primarily staying in the New York area? Or?
Well, the children are in New York City foster care system. We have families from all over, typically in the tri-state area, just because that's a very close reach for us. But we, besides taking the photos and bringing about the awareness of the kids, we help throughout the entire process. We help families become certified. We help them with their home study, and we connect them to the foster agencies so that they can match up with the kids.
So then what you're saying, there's other services as well.
Oh, yes.
That the Heart Gallery provides, I guess, supportive type services for the families.
We provide a lot of services for the parents and the children. So besides helping the parents with their accreditation with ACS, we also help the children we find them mentors. We do other projects because we found that some of the kids were aging out. So at one point we did they went to a horse farm in Long Island, and it was a therapeutic horse farm that was especially for that type of therapy. So things like that, we try to do other things just to really make them happy. We do parties and holiday events beyond what we just magic.
Wow. That's great. Phenomenal work is being
So, like
done
one of our other projects that I think I talked to you about before was the birthday club. That's another one where it's beyond matching. It's just about making the kids happy. A lot of times they are transferred from home to home or a different institution, and they'll miss their birthday and they don't have a birthday party. Sometimes people don't even know it's their birthday. And so we were asking people to join the birthday club where they can give a donation, and there are tiers of donations, and it shows whether it's covering a gift, a cake, things like that. And if people do that, we'll keep them updated on, you helped the child get a gift this month, or you helped the child have a cake. And ultimately, we would like to at least quarterly get the kids together who had birthdays in that quarter and actually have a birthday party for them.
Wow. Do they ever go back to their original parents or biological parents? Do they connect with them at all?
We mainly work with children who are cleared for adoption.
Okay.
But there are children in foster care who are not cleared for adoption who may be foster and then go back with their parents. But our goal is to help the children who are in need of adoptive families.
What type of ratio or statistics do you have around the children who have been adopted, like in terms of doing better in school, or do you have
It's hard
like
for us to track that because we really depend on the caseworkers to keep in touch with us about how the kids are doing. We reach out to the agencies and tell them, we tell them about Heart Gallery, and then we ask them, do you have any kids who would fit into kind of our scheme? And then if we make a match, then we don't actually place them. We aren't an agency. Their caseworker has to work with them to match with the parents. So if they follow up with us, or it may be on the family to say we love the fact that Heart Gallery matched us and they want to stay involved, but that's really kind of within their a family decision.
Okay, so getting the picture of how this moves, they're in, I guess, the, what is that? Administration of Children's Services,
Right.
ACS. And so they're already in that system. And then the Heart Gallery, they're able to select some of the children from that program,
Right.
or from that system,
Right.
into your program.
To participate in this.
this
It's kind of
program.
like extra help to
For those, as you said, the ones who are more difficult.
Well,
to
consider hard to place or at
Hard to
risk
place.
of aging out. So trying to help, because you're in foster care until 21 and then you age out. So we're trying to identify people who are at risk of aging out and trying to help them get placed.
Aging out, what happens at that point?
That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay,
Because
we're done
no
with you,
one
kid.
has an answer. You age out and
You're an
you're
adult,
on your own. You're an adult. And, you know, people need families no matter how old you are. I mean, I'm close with my family, and I mean, I don't want to say how old I am, but you do need that support. And so it doesn't mean that, oh, you're 21 and you don't need brothers and sisters and parents. And so that's really where
the network.
You do need the network. You do need the family.
From a family, or I know it's something a little bit off the, I guess the mission of the organization is to connect the children with stable homes. But what role does religion play in all of that, or does it play a role?
It doesn't, in the sense that we aren't a religious institution.
Right.
There are agencies that work with ACS that are religions or religion-based, and I mean, we work with them. Of course, we're not going to discriminate. We help everyone. Everyone who is in need. So that's really kind of where it falls on that line.
So from a religious perspective, it's not like I'm an atheist, you know, so you're not asking the parents, or when you do a screening of a parent,
we screen the parents. The parents have to pass a rigorous test through ACS. They have their home inspection, their interview. I mean, they're making sure that they are physically and mentally fit to be parents, that even other people who would come into the home are fit to take. And they also take into consideration the needs of the child. Is it a child that should be in a home with a lot of other kids or things like that? They even see, do you have pets? And so our screening in Heart Gallery isn't at that level. We kind of screen to just see, you know, are these people okay? And that we would want to work with them, and then should they go through that process. The further screening is done by the professionals.
Okay. But, you know, I'm just finding it interesting, as you said, you're looking at this program on Oprah, and just looking at the pictures somehow hit something within you resonated.
It did.
And I'm thinking, where is that coming from in terms of your own spiritual foundation, or what within you said, oh, I have to help, this is something I feel compelled to do?
Well, that is really, I guess, like you said, my own spiritual foundation of I've always asked to be able to help. And that's probably, you know, a big conversation I have with God. My spiritual foundation is make God your best friend. So always have that communication and be there. And I always ask to be able to help people. And it's a matter of making sure that I'm in a position of success so that I can do that, that if people call on me, that I am able to find some way to do something. And when I see these pictures and I meet the children, it's not even just the pictures. I mean, when I meet them, I'm always just astounded by their resolve and their fortuitousness, that it fortifies me even more.
Well, you know, I think in terms of a biblical context of how, you know, you look at the Good Samaritan who sees a person in need and says, everybody else has gone past and walked by that person, but the Samaritan, who's like a lowly despised person, you know, the priest goes by, the Levite goes by, here comes the Samaritan, and he's the one that stops to help this person along the way. He's the one that shows compassion. And I see you as showing a lot of compassion and helping people. The other scripture that I think of is, they say, to whom much is given, much is required. And in the fact that you have, somewhat successful in your...
I'm very fortunate, and I always know that I have to pass that on. And, also, all of these children are innocent. They're in a situation because of something that somebody else did. They're institutionalized because of something that somebody else did, and they deserve an opportunity to overcome that. And that's a lot of what we're doing, is trying to really get them the opportunities to be somewhere and be in a position to overcome whatever may have happened to them.
In your own life, and like you said, you're fortunate, your parents were there, your grandparents, and so who were your role models or the individuals that you looked up to that really helped create the person that you are today?
Well, a lot of people. I look up to anyone who's really intelligent and kind. And it could be, I'm looking up to somebody who's younger than me, or somebody who I may have just come across, they don't even know me. But I would say those are the traits or attributes of a person that really draws my attention. If somebody is doing something and it teaches me something I didn't know before, or I see somebody really being successful, and not by backbiting or putting people down, but by being kind and loving, that's what really draws me. So there are, all day, every day.
But that's the adult keeper.
That's even as a child.
Even as a child. So even as a 4-year-old, if you saw a 2-year-old that I could learn something.
I'm not a 2-year-old.
Well, I don't
but other people. When I'm little, the most people I was around were my family. Okay. So my immediate family, my extended family that I was around, I would say I looked up to them. But as I read more,
older brothers.
I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course, having an older brother, you look up to him. He's right there, doing things that I wish I could do.
Because you got away with all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Older brothers.
And then, as a young kid, reading about people and reading biographies, I always just looked up to people who were using their intelligence and using their talents.
So that provided you with the stimulation to go on, and I know, like you said, you do a lot of reading and traveling and all of that. That's provided you with the impetus to be able to be successful. How would you then, as I say, define success for this program?
For Heart Gallery, there are a lot of ways we're measuring success because we're doing so much. So, initially you would say matching kids successfully.
Okay.
That's like a big deal to us. But, other things are just how many people are interested in the program. As we grow, more and more people are volunteering, more companies are donating, and as we see more people are interested, that's a measure of success to say, hey, we're doing great. People are interested and they're willing to participate, so they believe in us, and they see that we are actually accomplishing things. And then just making the kids happy. To me, that's a huge accomplishment and measure of success. When we do the photo shoots or the parties and they love it, and you just talk to them and they're so happy, I think that's a major measure of success to bring happiness to them.
And you're there at those parties?
Yes, we go to the parties. Well, I go as many as possible. Even the photo shoots, we turn them into little mini parties also. Just anything to kind of bring them up.
Okay. Tell me, if someone's watching the show and they wanted to get involved, and just like you, how would they be able to do that? If I say, oh, that's a great ministry.
I would say go like I did to the website. It's heartgallerynyc.org, and you will see how to donate, how to participate. You'll also see pictures of the children, some of their bios, so you'll be crying also.
Yeah, you'll be crying, okay.
The same way I did. And that's really the best way to get involved and see other projects that we've done. You can also see press and things like that.
Oh. Okay, so they're still accepting volunteers all the time?
Oh, always. We have a core of volunteers who put together the events, and then as events come up, there are always more people pouring in, just adding to it. And it's funny because the events come off so well, you would think that there were a lot of people doing it, but it's usually a skeletal staff, and everybody is really chipping in and putting stuff together. Calling families, calling parents, asking them to come in, making sure that the kids are there, everything.
Good. What's the average number of children that you guys are placing in a year?
It really depends. Like I said, well, one, I think that we are placing more than we actually count because we depend on the agency to let us know that, because there's a long period of time between, say you went to our party and you met, say it's Ashley, and you say, I think that, this is a great match, and they talk to her, she says it's a great match. It's a while later before the child would actually be placing her home, and then even after that, there's time to the adoption. So there's a long time period there where we may not hear whether or not there was a successful match based on our meeting. And then different parties give different levels. So there may be 5 from one party, and then there may be 2 from another, and then there may be people who signed up based on our gallery who then end up matching not through a party. So,
well, what about the time when there is a match, and is there like a 90-day no return policy? Or
what do you mean?
Hey, I took Ashley, but the picture was one thing, but the little angel was a little different than what I thought.
No,
I'll take her back
they
ASAP.
don't just hand you a child. They do an kind of like an in-home before the adoption week. They're in your home, so it's like for lack of a better word, yes. Okay. Because the child also has to choose you, which is the beauty of foster and adoption. Because when you just have a baby, you don't know if you like each other.
That's true.
But when you adopt, you get to meet your kid, and they say if they like living with you, you say if you like living with them. So it's actually a great function.
And I guess sometimes for the kid, as you said as well, and I hate to say kid, what a kind of rough name word, but for the young person who may have gone through that system, and this is the second home and the third home, and maybe this is going to be the right, and then it's not, and then they're back, that there's a little buildup of callousness there as well, that, you may, some defenses that may have to be broken down.
There may be, yes.
How do you guys handle that?
Well, like I said, amazingly, when I meet these children, they are so... They express themselves so well, and they're able to say, I like this type of parent. I like this type of household. I'm always so impressed with how, and not just what they want, but like what they're interested in, and what they think would be a good match for them. They're really, really in tune, and I think that's part of being very mindful and being in tune with yourself. And these children have achieved that, where you see a lot of children aren't really at that level, and I'm always amazed by that.
Older ones or the younger ones?
Even some of the younger ones, I'm always amazed that because they've spent a lot of time really discovering themselves in the world.
They had to.
Yeah. Wow. And so they're really advanced, and they're role models to me often. When I go to these parties and they talk to me, I'm always just really inspired by how well they're managing themselves. And we don't do any therapy, things like that, or handle outside. We're really kind of like an organization helping them, navigate these processes.
And so it's interesting because it sounds like, in spite of a lot of the turmoil and even uncertainty in their lives, they have somehow been able to find a spiritual foundation, an anchor to hold on to help them navigate through all of these kind of turbulent transitional periods that they're going through. Just being a child in a home was hard enough on growing up, as you could say, with a big brother, little sister fighting over.
We thought we had problems.
Yeah, right. So when you add this whole additional layer of issues, and to see these guys can come out of it reasonably, healthy, emotionally safe, sound, is a blessing in itself. And that's why I was asking, where it seems like there has to be some spiritual connection, some goes on, maybe that is intrinsient to everything else.
All right. Whether they know it or not, they are reaching deep within their own spirits to really overcome. And I mean, that's also part of what Heart Gallery is there for. It's about when they come to our events, we do our best to really make them happy. I mean, we really cater to them and try to make sure that whatever their week, month, or year had, that they are really going to have a good time with us.
Yeah, and that shows. That shows. And it's a wonderful thing. I want to just say you've been watching. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you have been watching Illumination. Our guest for this evening has been Miss Kiva Redford, and she is a volunteer for the Heart Gallery. And we are looking at Illumination as how we as God's people have gone into the world to make a difference, a positive difference. And only through the love that we have, that God has first showed us, we can now start to show that love through our actions. And that's one of the things Kiva has been doing, which I'm so happy.
I'm happy also.
That you've been able to do that and do it so successfully. God is still in control. This is God's world. And even though sometimes we might think the enemy is winning, and even these young people, and I'm looking at the joy, and I'm going to put these pictures up on our wall, the joy that they're showing as being children of the Most High God. So there's no other name given unto man by which we can be saved but by the name of Jesus. Again, we want you to call the Heart Gallery, and that number again, Kiva?
The phone number is 212-965-8699. But the website is heartgallerynyc.org.
So you heard it, heartgallerynyc.org. So we have been watching Illumination. And this is a show that allows us to really highlight the glory of God and all the good things that are going on in our community. God is still in control. God is still on the throne, and His will shall be done. So we're going to continue to lift up the name of Jesus, and we're going to continue to praise the Lord. And I'm thanking all of you for coming by and watching this today. And my prayer is that God will continue to watch over you, and God will continue to bless you, and God will continue to keep you. Join us on our next show as we'll be talking again with another person about the wonderful things that they are doing in ministry. God bless you.